Do you prefer to watch super detailed and weathered locomotives? Or switching action? Or the ruckus of crossing bells? Well, you're in luck because this video has all three. Hi, this is Burr Stewart, and welcome to part 55 of my continuing series of model railroad operations and viewing videos. Today we're going to do some triple action of admiring Alco C636 locomotive that was recently weathered for me by Brian Elchlepp, the installation of some crossing bells in downtown Seattle, and a little bit of switching to allow for us to run a train through the crossing bells. We'll start here with an overview of the Interbay yard in North Seattle on my HO scale Burrlington Northern layout, set in the Seattle region in 1973. Some of the diesels had been painted BN green, and some of them were left over from the previous four railroads that merged into the BN in 1970. In this case, we're admiring a 4-unit consist of locomotives headed up by BN 4360, which originally was a Seattle, Portland, and Spokane locomotive, and it was recently weathered by Brian Elchlepp while he was doing his own locomotive, and I haven't had a chance to really let you explore it in detail, so I wanted to give you a little footage of it here. And of course you can also hear the beautiful sound that comes out of these ESU4 decoders. ESU4 is my name for it. It's the decoders that lock sound produced before the present run of ESU5s. The second locomotive is an Atlas RS11, originally a Northern Pacific locomotive. The third is an F unit, and the fourth is the RS3 that Bowser recently produced. I think all four of these locomotives have ESU decoders in them. They run together very nicely and sound great. Here you see them disappearing underneath the Davis Street overpass in the Interbay yard and emerging out the other end. We're coming to a stop because a brakeman needs to get out and go throw the switch that allows these engines to take on the main line. You have to imagine a crewman walking up there and flipping that switch now. All right, that done, we can proceed south. As you know, if you've watched my other videos on this channel, we rarely actually do the correct thing that the prototype train would do because we're so busy running the model railroad. So I'm very proud of the fact that I stopped that consist and flipped that switch before starting it up again. That said, you'll notice that I don't stop after we pass the switch, giving the crewman time to go down and reline the switch back to the main position. It's just really challenging to learn all these habits when you're busy running DCC throttles and everything else. But we continue to work on it, and as you know, I will continue to comment on it until we all become experienced railroaders. Thanks for putting up with it. As we approach the first of 3 grade crossings, you can get a chance here to admire this beautiful weathering job. That grade crossing sequence of horn blowing wasn't quite right. Let's do it again. You're supposed to have the horn blowing when you reach the road that you're crossing. So that's why I think we should try it a second time. Plus we can admire the locomotive just a little bit longer. Here we go. There, you see we had the horn on right up until we got to the pavement. Much better. Well, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been frustrated because every time a train goes through this double-track section of downtown Seattle, there's no ruckus from crossing bells. So I finally broke down and purchased some items from Iowa Scaled Engineering, which is a little crossing bell speaker and an infrared detector, and I installed some of these in this section of track. So this is the first time we're getting to watch the ruckus take place on video. But to make it a little more realistic, I thought we ought to pick up some cars in the yard so that we're running a train through the grade crossing area, not just 4 locomotives. So we're going to take a little switching time here to back these engines into the yard, pick up some cars, and then go back out onto the grade crossings. Easy does it. Bang! You'll be able to watch in the inset that we have a whole long string of cars now behind our consist. I don't have the grade crossing bell set up for this first Broad Street crossing yet, just the other two. So you'll hear them in a minute. The important thing about this video is that I can no longer say, one of these days we'll get some crossing bells ringing. See, there they go. Excellent. That's what I call a ruckus. Now we've got 2 of them going at the same time. Imagine how bad it's going to be when there's 3 of them. You'll notice that sometimes one or the other of them drops out, and that has to do with my lack of expertise in installing the infrared sensors that trigger the bell, and it's going to take me a while to figure out just the exact height that maximizes the continuity of the bell ringing. But as I often say, this is reality model railroading, so you start off trying to get the bells working, and eventually we'll get them tuned to where they work just right every time. Also, it goes without saying that you should really have an entire circuit board keeping track of the approach detector as well as the detector right on the grade crossing, and I have yet to figure all that out. But anyway, the bottom line is we're starting to have crossing protection in downtown Seattle, which is a good thing. Now, in case you're interested, let me show you the equipment that I purchased and how I got this set up as quickly and easily as I possibly could. I started out with the crossing bell sound box from Iowa Scaled Engineering and their infrared detector called the Train Spotter. Then I developed a simple wiring diagram so I could figure out how to connect the 2 devices together to a low voltage power supply. Then I drilled a couple of 1/4-inch holes in the plywood underneath the track and shoved the infrared sensors up into the holes and wired them up to the bell and the power supply, and temporarily fixed them at a height that might work. And you can see the infrared is at the very top of that stick, but a lower height is probably better, just to connect with the wheels and the bottom of each freight car. And that is at least how to get started with grade crossing bells. If you're a reader of Model Railroader magazine, you'll notice that in the April 2023 issue, there's a very nice article about a very much more complicated installation of grade crossing flashers and bells and gate arms, which I can look forward to doing sometime in the future. But as you know from my previous videos, I really wanted to get going with at least the ruckus caused by the crossing bells, and that task has been accomplished. So for now, this is Burr Stewart, hoping you'll enjoy all the videos on my channel and that you like this one, and wishing you much fun with trains and grade crossings where appropriate.